Hello and welcome to another hard antler hunting video. As the title says, I will be discussing the suitability of the A-tip, the Hornady A-tip match bullet for hunting. I've now harvested 6 different animals of different game weights with also different calibers with this projectile, and think I have a pretty good understanding of the behavior of this projectile in different situations for hunting. So before I get into the actual videos of the animals that I've harvested with it, I'm going to quickly go over these 3 cartridges that I've used the A-tip in. So on the far left, we've got the 284 Winchester shooting the 166 A-tip. This particular load was doing 2885 feet per second from the muzzle and was responsible for taking 4 of the animals that are shot in this video. The middle load is a 190 grain 7mm A-tip, and I wanted to load a low velocity load to test these projectiles at a very low velocity to see how they behaved as well. This also clipped into my magazine, so I was going to use this as a bush load. Then on the far right we have the 6.5 PRC, which was shooting the 153 A-tip at 2965. This only took 1 animal at 12 yards, but I still believe it speaks to the test. My initial thinking around this projectile would be that it would be very similar to the ELD match. That is, it is a fully frangible, semi-controlled expanding bullet. So I thought the aluminium tip would be extremely hard on the outside of or the front of this projectile, which I would hope would push that aluminium tip as the impact happened into that projectile and expand it nicely. And so now that was my initial thinking. That was when I cut one in half. I thought, yeah, this could work all right. So now I'm going to get into the videos and actually talk about what happens in each of these videos. Okay, here's our first runner-up. Got a very, very small kid goat out at 565 yards. The goat's hit, it's well hit, and it stands there bleeding out, and eventually it starts to move on down the hill as it falls and tumbles. Very delayed kill, and felt a little bit sorry for it, to be honest. Okay, this next one is also with the 166 A-tip. This is off my last hunting video. Bit of background, I don't talk about this on the video, but there you go, the shot is perfect. It's only at 100 and, I think it was 140 yards. This guy here, pig, also shot with the 166 A-tip. Couldn't really get it on film properly because it was a little bit all over the show, but this was actually a neck shot which worked quite well. This is probably the only shot that worked well with this projectile. So after I took those first 2 initial shots, I realized the spiker was still very much alive, and I actually put 2 more 190 grain A-tips into that spiker, which is really what sealed the deal for me on this projectile. I also put another 190 grain into the pig just to make sure that everything was properly dead, but was very disappointed that the spiker was quite a delayed kill. So I go into the carcasses now on this film. If you haven't actually watched this video, I highly advise you go and watch Abundant Life. There's some excellent B-roll, if I must say so myself. But examining the carcasses was what really made me lose a lot of faith in this projectile as a hunting projectile. The spiker was pretty much pin cushioned. I lost quite a bit of meat. The bore, you can see right there, actually that's the wound from, well, right back there. That is the wound from the A-tip on the boar, but I was already feeling like I needed to shoot this boar in the neck because I wasn't sure about this projectile. I did get both animals down, but I would not say they were clean kills that put a confidence in this projectile at all. to use them for hunting. They were very delayed. Okay, here we are again with the 284 Winchester 166 A-tip, just lining up at 224 yards on this bore. So I was feeling very confident that this was going to be quite an easy shot. It wasn't very far, and so waited for him to present a nice neck shot, and this was just an instant kill, dead on the spot. But I'm going to put this down to spinal shock, and at 224 yards this projectile was still holding hydraulic shock or hydrostatic shock, so kind of don't think it really counts that much. The projectile also did not exit, so again went into the animal and just flew to pieces. It flew to pieces all in the right areas, but that's what it did. Okay, this was going to be my last test for the 7mm projectile, the 166 A-tip. I had some goats feeding at 245 yards and felt very confident that I was going to put a projectile perfectly in the right place because I just re-sighted the rifle in as well. So here we go, this black goat stands up and presents himself as a candidate, and so I wait till the other goat walks away and bang him. He runs, This is interesting. This time he's got blood oozing out of his side. This time the projectile worked. You can see that there. And that's gross. That's really gross. Anyway, so he goes up into the trees and dies. Just that little flaxseed thing, and dies. And so last is the 6.5mm 153 A-tip. I left this last because I actually didn't have time to get good footage because he was in 12 yards. So I rolled him into 12 yards. He came screaming in, and I popped a projectile into his neck. And the projectile was going extremely quick, 2,900 feet per second on impact, and it exploded on his neck bone. And so he went down like a sack of potatoes, but anything would, getting hit with a bullet that big and that close. So successful, yes. The projectile has just proven itself to be so soft that it didn't even exit. It didn't smash the actual neck bone either. It just blew up on the neck bone, kind of like a varminting bullet. Okay, well there's my 6 animals that I have filmed taking out with the Hornady A-tip. And my conclusion comes to this. They are too inconsistent. Even the low loads that were the 190 grain 7mm loads that were designed, I wanted those to really show what they would do out long. They just drilled pencil holes. They didn't really expand anymore. And so the delayed kills became common. So if they were going fast, they might work. The goat with the blood gushing out of it, that worked because that shot placement was absolutely perfect. On the side of the rib cage, no obstructions through there, and just whistled through and expanded. But other than that, they don't really work that well. They do not work consistently enough for me to use them. I've tested the Sierra Match King back in the day. I think they worked slightly better. But the Hornady ELDM is what I will be sticking with. And because there is nothing 7mm around, I'm going to go back to a 6.5mm because I've always found those results exceptionally good. Oh no, they say, not the 6.5 Creedmoor. Well, been there, done that, done the 6.5 284, done the 6.5 PRC. It's time to build a big boy. So here it is. It's coming. It's currently being chambered. The 26 Nosler is what I'm going to be building next. So if you stick around, I'll show you how the 147 ELD match performs in this.